Hi everyone, and welcome to another Under the Night Sky. My name is Robin. Tonight we're going to explore the constellation of Gemini the Twins. I'll talk about how to find Gemini, some of the interesting stars and deep sky objects located in the constellation, and some of the myths associated with Gemini. By late January, the sun is setting just a bit after 5:30. By 7, the constellation is high enough and the sky dark enough to see Gemini rising in the east. Gemini is Latin for twins, and it represents the twins Castor and Pollux from Greek and Roman mythology. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Orion the Hunter. You can use him to locate Gemini, which is just above and to the right of Orion. Gemini is a constellation that actually looks like what it's called. Two people in the sky. The bright stars Castor and Pollux, the two brightest stars in the constellation, are the heads of the twins. Fainter stars make two parallel lines marking their stick figure bodies. This is Castor, and this is Pollux. Once you have these stick figure body lines, you will be able to see Castor's arms and his other leg and foot, and Pollux's arms and his right hip, leg, and foot. It even looks like the two boys are embracing. Winter and spring are the best times to see Gemini. The constellation is easily seen overhead during the winter months and will become lost in the sun's glare by late spring and early summer. Gemini is one of the 12 zodiacal constellations and lies along the ecliptic, the apparent path of the sun and planets through the sky as seen from Earth. Because it lies on the ecliptic, Gemini is visible to observers in much of the southern hemisphere. However, when observed in the southern hemisphere, the twins are standing on their heads. As I mentioned earlier, Castor on the right and Pollux on the left are the two brightest stars in Gemini. Pollux is a yellow-orange giant star and the brighter of the two. Pollux is the 16th brightest star in the sky. Located about 34 light years away, Pollux is the closest giant star to our sun. Castor is a blue-white star located 52 light years away and is the 45th brightest star in the sky. In Arabic culture, Castor is called Al-Ras Latam Al-Mugadim, which means the head of the foremost twin. Castor appears to be a single star to the naked eye, but it's actually a multiple star system consisting of 3 gravitationally bound binary pairs. Castor AA is the star we can see naked eye. Using a small telescope, you can see both Castor AA and BA. These stars are true binary stars, having an orbital period of 467 years. Both are a bit larger than the Sun, and both stars are also spectroscopic binaries, each having a red dwarf star companion. Spectroscopic binary stars are stars orbiting each other so closely that telescopes can't resolve or see them. Spectroscopes detect the individual velocity components of the two stars, making the invisible visible. Okay, that was 4 of the 6 stars. The last 2 are a pair of spectroscopic binary stars orbiting both Castor AA and BA. These last 2 stars are called Castor CA and CB, and both are red dwarf stars. They orbit the AB system every 10,000 plus years on a long elliptical orbit. This image of Castor AA and BA was taken by an amateur using a 20-inch reflector. This is a size comparison between Pollux and our Sun. In addition to being the closest giant star to our Sun, Pollux also has a planet. The planet was discovered by 2 separate planet-finding teams using the Doppler method, or radial velocity method, which infers the existence of a planetary companion from its gravitational tug on its star. The discovery was confirmed in June 2006. Originally called Pollux B, it's now called Thestius. The planet is a gas giant having more than twice Jupiter's mass. It orbits Pollux every 590 days in an orbit a little farther away than Mars' orbit around the Sun. Let's move on to some of the interesting deep sky objects in Gemini. Our first deep sky object is NGC 2392, a planetary nebula, also called the Clown Nebula. Located about 6,500 light years away, it's called the Clown Nebula because when viewed through ground-based telescopes, it looks like a face surrounded by a clown's ruffled collar. The fuzzy outer region is a disk of material with a ring of giant comet-shaped objects all pointing away from the central star, like spokes of a wheel. These objects may have formed when slower moving and faster moving gases collided. The inner nebula is bright and sort of resembles a ball of twine. It's a bubble of material being blown into space by the central star's intense wind of high-speed material. This nebula has two elliptically shaped lobes of matter streaming above and below the dying star. In this photo, one bubble lies in front of the other, hiding part of the second bubble. Each bubble is about 1 light year long and about a half a light year wide. A light year is the distance light travels in a year, which is about 6 trillion miles, giving you an idea how big these objects are. At the center of the nebula, we can see all that's left of the parent star, its hot nuclear core. This core will cool into a small, dense remnant called a white dwarf star. The core is producing very energetic ultraviolet light that ionizes the shell of gas surrounding it, causing the gas to appear brightly colored. A planetary nebula such as this is the final stage of stellar evolution for sun-like stars. This is what the nebula looks like in the ground-based 32-inch telescope on Mount Lemmon, Arizona. The next object is also a planetary nebula, having two NGC numbers, 2371 and 2372. This is another dual-lobe nebula, located about 4,300 light years away. NGC stands for New General Catalog of Nebula and Clusters of Stars, compiled by John Dreyer in 1888. Visually, this nebula looked like it could be two separate objects, so Dreyer gave it two numbers in his catalog. Hubble showed us that this is one object, not two. The super hot core of the former star is clearly visible at the center of the nebula. The surface temperature of this remnant is 240,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Notice the pink clouds lying on opposite sides of the central star. The color indicates that they are cool and dense compared to the rest of the gas in the nebula. Also notice the small pink dots, marking relatively small, dense knots of gas that lie on opposite sides of the star. These dots appear to represent the ejection of gas in a specific direction from the star. The direction of these jets has changed with time over the past few thousand years. Although the reason for this behavior isn't well understood, scientists believe it may be caused by a second star orbiting the central star. The next two objects are open star clusters M35 and NGC 2158. Open clusters contain stars that were born out of the same molecular cloud of gas and dust, or the same stellar nursery, whose members are loosely bound together by gravity. This type of cluster can contain anywhere from 100 to 10,000 stars and are found in or near the plane of the Milky Way galaxy. Here we have the very young and the very old. M35 on the lower left is about 3,800 light years away. It contains about 2,500 stars spread out over an area of the sky almost the size of a full moon. The bright blue stars tell us that this cluster is young, with an estimated age of 175 million years. NGC 2158 on the upper right is a more compact open cluster and much more distant, being over 11,000 light years away. And it's a much older cluster at about 2 billion years old. At this age, the giant blue stars that burn hard and fast, lasting only a few million years, are gone, leaving the older, yellower stars. Next up is the Gemini meteor shower. Meteor showers get their names from the constellation they appear to radiate from. Typically, meteor showers occur when Earth passes through the debris field left behind by a comet. The Geminids are the only major meteor shower that originates from an asteroid. The asteroid's name is 3200 Phaeton, named after the son of the Greek god Helios. Comets can take a few years to hundreds of years or more to revolve around the sun. Phaeton takes about 3.3 years to go around the sun. The Geminids are usually the best and most reliable meteor shower of the year, with upwards of 100 meteors per hour. Of course, you will need a totally dark sky to see this many meteors. Any amount of light pollution will diminish the number of meteors seen. This shower occurs between December 4th and 17th, peaking, when you can see the most meteors, the morning of the 14th. Let's move on to some mythology. Some of you might remember this constellation from an earlier Under the Night Sky about the constellation Orija the Charioteer. To the Inuit, the bright stars Castor and Pollux in Gemini, and Capella and Menkulaanan in Orija form the constellation called the Collarbones. The name comes from the resemblance to a set of collarbones. I've learned a little more about this constellation. The constellation is widely known, recognized from North Alaska through the Central Arctic to West Greenland. And for many, this is a circumpolar constellation, meaning it's visible all night. As a circumpolar constellation, it was used as an indicator of time and direction. The Aztecs called this constellation the ball court. This game was endowed with a ritual significance and used a natural rubber ball. It's said that the movement of the ball within the playing field refers to the movement of the sun and moon. In Greek and Roman mythology, Castor and Pollux were the sons of Leda, queen of Sparta. Castor was the son of her husband, King Tyndareus, and therefore mortal, while Pollux was the son of Zeus, who had visited Leda in the form of a swan, making Pollux immortal. The boys grew up the closest of friends. They looked like identical twins, even dressing alike. They never fought, and they wouldn't do anything without talking to each other first. Castor was a famous horseman and warrior. Pollux was a champion boxer. The twins were inseparable and had many great adventures together. They joined Jason and the Argonauts on their quest for the Golden Fleece. They rescued their sister Helen when she was kidnapped by the neighboring King Theseus. And they joined Meleager in hunting for the Caledonian boar, to name just a few. Castor was killed during a fight. Pollux was heartbroken and inconsolable over the loss of his brother. He asked Zeus to give Castor immortality so that they could be together again. Zeus was touched by his son's love for his brother. He placed both boys in the sky as the constellation Gemini, where we can see them embracing each other and inseparable for eternity. That's it for this Under the Night Sky. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed exploring Gemini the twins with me. Join me in March when we explore the constellation Canis Major, the big dog.